Have you ever been in an argument where you're explaining, defending, raising your points, and the other person just goes quiet? No interruption, no defense, no emotional reaction, just silence. And somehow, that silence feels heavier than any words they could have said. It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you talk more. It even makes you question yourself. That's not accidental. There's real psychology behind it. Most people assume that when someone stays silent in an argument, they've lost. They don't have a comeback. They're overwhelmed. They don't know what to say. But in many cases, the opposite is true. Silence is often a sign of emotional control. When conflict starts, the emotional part of the brain, especially the amygdala, activates fast. That's what makes people interrupt, defend themselves aggressively, or say things they regret. But people who stay silent are often allowing their prefrontal cortex, the logical part of the brain, to catch up. They're choosing to pause instead of react, and that pause is power. Silence also creates psychological pressure. Humans are deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty. When someone argues back, you know where you stand. You can push, defend, counterattack. But when someone doesn't respond, your brain starts filling in the blanks. Did I go too far? Are they judging me? Did I just embarrass myself? The silence forces self-reflection. And in many situations, the person who talks more during an argument slowly loses leverage, because the more you explain, the more you reveal emotional investment. The silent person, on the other hand, appears steady, unshaken, and steadiness reads as strength. There's also a status dynamic at play. In social psychology, high-status individuals tend to be less reactive. They don't rush to correct every misunderstanding. They don't feel an urgent need to win every exchange. When someone immediately defends themselves against every accusation, it can signal insecurity, as if their identity depends on being right. But when someone can sit calmly in disagreement without scrambling to fix perception, it communicates something subtle. Your opinion doesn't destabilize me. That changes the energy of the room instantly. But let's be clear, not all silence is healthy. There's a difference between composed silence and emotional shutdown. Psychologists refer to stonewalling as a destructive behavior where someone withdraws completely to avoid engagement. That kind of silence is dismissive and can damage relationships over time. The powerful kind of silence is temporary, it's intentional. It's used to regulate emotion before responding thoughtfully. It's not about punishing someone, it's about not rewarding escalation. Arguments escalate because both sides fuel them. Emotion meets emotion, volume meets volume. But when one person removes emotional fuel, the fire struggles to continue. Silence disrupts the rhythm of conflict. It slows things down. And when momentum breaks, clarity often enters. There's also something called the reactance effect. When people feel opposed or attacked, they push back harder. Silence removes that trigger. It doesn't give the other person something to fight against. And sometimes, when there's nothing to push against, people calm themselves down. Now here's something important. Silence is powerful only when it comes from control, not fear. If someone stays silent because they're afraid to speak, that's suppression. But if someone stays silent because they've decided the argument isn't worth emotional investment, that's discipline, that's choice. And people can feel the difference, even if they can't explain it. So the next time someone goes silent during an argument, don't assume they're weak. They might be processing. They might be protecting their emotional stability. Or they simply understand that not every battle deserves a reaction. In a world where most people fight to be heard, the person who can remain calm, composed, and selective with their words often holds the real power. Because real strength isn't loud, it isn't rushed, and it definitely isn't desperate. Sometimes the most dominant move in the room is saying nothing at all.